I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Comment. Did everybody have a chance to read the minutes from last week?
Yes, I did, and I have some things I think need to be corrected. We had about a 10-minute conference call with Recover Care. Quite a bit was discussed, but really there's only a paragraph with a summary that doesn't really, we asked them for personal financial information, we asked them for corporate financial information. Most people have commented on that. We discussed the fact that they're only a one-star facility in Highland. We talked about their ability to sustain things. There was a lot of conversation, but in the minutes it's down to 1 minute. So I'd like to see it reflect the entire conversation.
Well, aren't minutes supposed to just be just a reflection of actions? I mean, how much do we actually put in, or how much narrative is required to be in?
I would think if we're going to try to sell a major asset in the county, that discussion would be important for the minutes and the record.
But there was no actionable taken, or I don't know, that not just for this conversation, but I know I have read other counties' minutes, and there is really no narrative put down. It's only if motions and actual actionable things that are put in their minutes. So this is for the broader conversation.
There was discussion about whether we should send a letter of intent, whether we should move into executive session. There's a lot of discussion there that I think is actionable. And I'm not sure about the rules of minutes, but it is our official record.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd like the official record to reflect the conversation.
It's up to you to determine how detailed or how general they should be. So probably the best way to handle it would be for someone to make a motion to add some specific language or take something out, and then you will vote on it. The requirement of statute is that your votes be recorded.
Well, I would move to table the minutes until the conversation can be put in more detail based upon the conversation at that meeting.
Don't we have a certain time limit that the minutes have to be approved?
I don't think so.
Oh, okay. I thought I was saying one time.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
We just got to make sure that, somebody views the tape and gets accurate. And then how much do you want to put in?
I go along with the tabling for now, but how much it is, we can always accept or reject them at the time that they're presented. So, do I hear a second?
I second it.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Pass 3-0.
Okay, some of these stuff that we approved, if we don't approve the minutes, are they still okay, such as Seth Howard and the tube, and for $5,018, is that still okay?
Oh yeah, we approved the action.
But the minutes have no reflect, they don't cause any problem there. I think that's the only thing that.
The minutes are a record of the actions that you took, so the actions that you took are valid.
The vote still holds.
Okay.
It's just the record. Pardon me. Commissioner comments and committee reports. Bill, do you have anything?
No.
Yeah, I actually got quite a bit. There's some questions I wanted to kind of talk through in regard to the sale of Atchison Senior Village. Have we come up with a price that we want to sell the facility for? And if so, how is that done?
That was in discussion. I mean, there was never a meeting of the minds as far as that goes.
I think county.
I did look back on the record, and it does talk about Melissa Crane had done a cost approach, a per bed approach, and an average sale price approach. And it basically the cost approach was for $2,961. The price per bed based on the sales of about 10 properties in the area over the last 5 years was $2,422,000. And then the analysis of the average sale price was $3,354,000, with the average being $2,912,000. I didn't know what kind of price we were going to, if we're going to put the thing up for sale, it seemed like to me the seller should come up with a price. And how do we go about doing that?
Well, it has been discussed. And can we talk about the proposal, the estimate from
You may, yes.
that range that we got from the CCC was 2.5. I'm thinking 2.4 to 3.1. Do you have that information, Pat? I don't have that.
So that would be pretty close to what Melissa Crane.
Yeah.
The average being $2,000,009. So I think at some point we need to come up with a price we're going to sell the price for. The other question is what is the challenge of dissolving the Hawaii Trust? Is that something that we're going to have to face legal fees for? Is it something the trustee will take legal fees for? How exactly would that work?
Well,
dissolve
a
the
question for, I don't know that there's a,
or dissolution of
There's a-
trust, which is both. The trust is there to pay us. It's not there for any other purpose.
right, and the trust is silent on what happens if the county ceases to run a home. That is, we are the residuary beneficiary, so it doesn't say it then goes to someone else. But what would happen is a district court would try to reform the trust to keep a charitable intent and to keep a charitable purpose going, and find some other use for the money that would be of a charitable nature in keeping with the,
But not necessarily
Corrections.
connected to the county of Atchison.
not necessarily connected.
Or even
But it's
to be another part, some other trustee. The trustees could decide to be involved with another charity of some sort.
But I think a district court would ultimately decide that. By statute, when there is a charitable trust involving a municipality in Kansas, the Attorney General's office is involved, and they have the ability to intervene or be a party to the action to determine.
Yeah, I read the Hawaii will, and there was no specific mention of anything besides being able to support additional salaries for healthcare nurses and training of nurses and that type of thing. So I just didn't know where we're going to go. If the community is going to lose that $5 million, is there a way to save it? I think those questions also need to be answered in some fashion.
I thought it went to First Baptist, First Methodist.
The Presbyterian Church received $15,000 in some land up on Riverview Drive in the well. And Pat, I think the trust as it is in Dallas, the U.S. Bank, or U.S. Bank or
Bank of America. Yeah.
was done in 1989, but I think Hawaii died in 1969. So was it trust at the First National Bank of Topeka before it was?
I believe it was the.
Did U.S. Bank or Bank of America buy that bank, or?
I don't really know the original proceedings, because I did at one time go to look at them in the clerk of the district court. The original file is in the salt mines, and they do have a copy of it on microfiche, and so I did look through it, and the copies that I have of the will itself are from those images, and they're not the clearest
I read them, so.
And every year there has been an accounting approved by the court or presented to the court for approval to make sure that actions are all being taken in accordance with the terms of the trust. I've not gone through and looked at every year of that to see when it changed, when the trustee changed, how that happened, but it certainly wouldn't be hard to do.
I looked at the last 4 years of IRS 990 reports from the trustee and how they had the money invested in. So I looked at the IRS filings. So I'm just interested because that would be a terrible thing to lose a $5 million income producer to our county citizens. I think we need to make sure we understand that way before we ever agree to a sale.
We just get the income off of that. That's not actually losing the principal.
The income could continue into perpetuity if there's another purpose within our county. And I don't know how we'd find that out before the sale. Is there an Attorney General's opinion? Is there? It seems like we're making a big decision. If the nursing home were $2.9 million, and the trust is worth just shy of $5 million recently, then it's not a $2.9 million deal. It's a $7.9 million deal.
Oh no! We do not own the trust money.
No,
we only are.
I'm not trying to say we own the trust, but we are the beneficiary of the interest. So
and which is how much a year?
It's been anywhere from 2 years ago it was $450,000.
Okay, now if you add that on to the cost of the nursing home, that would be the same.
That goes to help our nursing staff provide better quality experiences. So that's what that money's for.
If you wanted to add that to the price of the nursing home and say that would be the swing, that's one thing. But to add the whole wise trust money in total, which we do not own, to the nursing home value and say that's a $7 million swing.
I'm not trying to say that at all. What I'm trying to say, it is a $5 million trust. It would be a crime to lose it if we couldn't use it for some other charity in our community. If the trustees decide to do something completely different with it, as Pat says, the trustees can't decide this, Pat, or they can decide it.
The trustee wouldn't decide it. It would be up to the district court.
I couldn't find a board of directors for this trust. It sounds like there is one. It's just a trustee.
There is not one that I know of, other than the bank.
So, I think that's something we really got to consider. And the other thing is, when we sell the nursing home, what happens to the expenses we might owe in regard to vacation time, sick pay, retirement, those type of things?
Those were subject to the negotiations we were having, and when we had two different versions. One is that the county would pay that off, and then there was another version where the price would be passed on, and the incoming buyer would actually pay that out.
So either way, there's a cost.
Yes.
Yeah, so that's an important piece. And then the other thing that people have been asking me, what happens to the proceeds from the sale? If there's let's say there's $2.9 million proceeds, we sell it for $2.9 million, and there's $300,000, let's say, for employment, dissolving the employment promises. So there's $2.6 million. What happens to $2.6 million? What's it going to be used for?
Well, we've discussed improvements to the courthouse. We've discussed road and bridge facility. We discussed lowering the property tax that year. We've discussed, what else have we discussed?
Okay.
Well, it's hard to, on a theoretical sale, you can't approve expenditures or where you're going to necessarily spend that. I don't want to spend money, but there are areas that are lacking in the county infrastructure that if we have to resort to something other than the sale of the nursing home, that it's going to result in higher property taxes.
My fear is that we end up with a lesser product, and the people who are most marginalized, the elderly, a lot of them are on Medicaid, will have less care than they're entitled to. especially when you have the spirit of this trust that is there to provide those type of things. And if it gets dissolved or go to something else, it's a terrible loss to that community.
I think that's unknown. We don't know what. Peggy checked into them, and their rating ranking was equal to ours. Now, whether that's true or not, I don't know. But
The one benefit I could see, Bill, is that they would start paying taxes to the county of Atchison. But the question mark that I asked Peggy was, how will they make money if they got to pay taxes, they got to pay all their insurance, they got to pay for their payroll costs, they got to pay for things that she basically said that they would have to reduce salaries by 25%. This is out of her mouth. And then she also said that they would have to quit buying from our local merchants in the community who provide a direct and indirect effect into our local economy. So we know that they'll, and then the next thing is, if you have 2 CNAs on the fortnight versus 4 CNAs on the fortnight, you have less care. Just something to think about.
what I recall them saying, because I think I asked a question, and I believe one of them, I don't know which one, said they would buy as much local as local could provide. So if they could get it local, we've been getting it local, I presume they would carry that on, but there's nothing written in stone either. So,
Well, it's a business, it's their business. But if they have eight nursing homes, I'm sure they leverage their buying power to buy cheaper than maybe we're buying here locally. Well, I understand Peggy's really good about going to merchants. I've heard from several of them who said she'll go to them and say, I can get this for this price. Is there anything you can do? And now we'll try an arrangement that they can buy locally. So she's giving people opportunities to participate in the marketplace. That's all I have.
I guess my question would be is that we were negotiating and with one entity, Recover Care, 9 months ago, and we're quite earnest in with the negotiations. And what were these questions then?
Well, I'll be the truth with you. These questions have come from a lot of soul searching and really trying to understand my spirit towards people and spirit towards the community. And yes, you're right. I did vote to do that back in either September or October of last year. And but that's been a long time ago. Mm-hmm. So there is no denying that. But I really believe that there's a lot of human capital involved here. I think at the end of the day, all the numbers, all the money still comes down to people who are marginalized in our society. Just my opinion.
Okay. Anything more?
the negative comments that I've been, not negative, they just wish we'd reconsider. They either have family members there or they have family members that work there.
So they'd be definitely affected, wouldn't they?
True.
Sure. But we are
But we have 58 patients, so we have 58 families versus, I don't know how many families we got throughout the county. 10,000.
We are here as commissioners to serve the complete community and consider the needs of everybody and not a selected few. So, I mean, it's a very emotional issue, and it will impact some people.
Well, Commissioner, I want to make sure I understand that. You're saying because there's less elderly, we should be less concerned?
No, I'm saying that everything, this affects taxpayers, it affects everybody, and we need to consider everything.
Yeah, that's my point exactly.
Okay.
That's my good point exactly. There's a lot of things to consider.
Yeah, and a lot of these have been in negotiations and have been talked about. So it's
so there have been some negotiation going on that I don't know about, or
no? We talked about the paid time or the paid time and all that.
That was like last September. Right? I mean, we haven't had a negotiation since then.
No, but that's not new. What you brought up had been talked about, and we have to start over on the negotiation. So, but it's not something that had not been talked about or had been ignored. That's my point.
My take on it was that we was about 99% committed to the sale until they come in with the financing. They had a lot different thinking that we did. we was thinking maybe financing 20 and then paying 80, and they took it as they wanted to pay 20 and the county to finance 80, and then that's when negotiations stopped.
Well, they made an offer to complete the sale, and they just disappeared.
Well, that's all because of the financing.
The financing. It was
But they still just disappeared. They didn't come back to us. They just disappeared.
Well, we more or less said we wasn't interested in financing 80%, so it was kind of a
stalemate.
I just never. It's strange to do a business relationship, and it's a contract and a letter of agreement that people just disappear. I mean, they were communicating through our attorney, and they just quit the communicating. Is that right, Patrick?
That's true.
Okay.
Moving on.
Yeah.
New business before the board. Pat, do you have any new business?
We have from Capital One on the issue about doing bonding for roads. George K. Baum did send out requests for bids, I guess, on purchasing $2 million in bonds. There were 7 responses to that, which ranged from a high of 4.3% to a low of 3.37%, which was submitted by Capital One Bank. Capital One has current bonds. They're the holders of the current bonds on the sports complex project. So they've worked with the county before. I had a couple of questions. I did talk to Roger Edgar over the noon hour. Capital One has given an offer sheet, I guess I would call it, for a term sheet that they've asked that the county sign in return. And it came over the weekend, I think, and it asks for a response by August 3rd, 2018. It says in one of the places on the payment assumptions, there was some discussion about the approximate average life of the loan is mentioned at 5.9 years. Roger Edgar explained to me that that's typically referred to as the weighted average life of the loan. And essentially it's an average that at the beginning of the loan, there are 10 years left. 1 year in, there are 9 years left, etc. And the average of those is 5.9 years on a semi-annual payment amortization like we have. So that's he didn't think that had much, but it meant much to the county. It's something that banking regulators and accountants would be interested in. The second thing that was on there that there was some discussion about is the call provisions. It says no call until 10/1/23, then in whole or part on any interest payment due. That gives the county the option to prepay the loan without penalty beginning in the 5th year. It does not give Capital One the right to require a payment in bonding terms or finance terms. He said that is what's known as a put, which I had only known as when you're
an option put is
you're
betting on that stock to go down.
Option, right? Options with stocks is the only way I had heard that. But the way you phrased it was the borrower may call the loan back from the lender at any time after 5 years. You have to do it on a payment date, but other than that, it's just the county's right to prepay it. He also mentioned that that's frequently done if there's been a big change in interest rates or if you're wanting to borrow additional funds and the rates remain approximately the same, that sometimes it's easier to just have one payment rather than to have the two of them. So,
Wonder what the payment would be if we went from 10 years down to 6 years. Because after 6 years, basically,
We've already budgeted for 10-year amortization.
that's true. Yeah, that's true.
It would have raised quite a bit. Okay, is that
so if you would consider executing that agreement or the offer sheet, I guess.
Is that interest rate locked in for the 10 year?
The interest rate is locked in, yes, assuming you accept it. And then if you accept this, then we'll have the bonding documents all prepared, and I think that's set on August 14th.
So we have to do that by the 3rd of August.
Yes.
I believe Seth said they started on what, 2 of the bridges?
yes?
They started on, so.
So I would move that we accept the offer for Capital One, the interest amount of 3.37% over 10 years, with the details in the agreement. I don't know that we make it, who has to sign it? You're the one who signed it.
Yes, me.
So I'm authorizing our county chairman to sign it.
I'll second that motion. Do you have any other discussion?
Yeah, I don't. Excuse me, I got excuse me. It's been moved and seconded to allow me to sign off on this agreement from Capital One. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? Passed 3-0. How many copies of this do we need signed?
I think we just need one original.
Is that the original one?
They were all emailed.
If you sign that on the county copy,
Yeah, maybe it wouldn't hurt.
sign that one, and we'll keep a copy.
Okay, do you want the original? Or
Yeah, I'll take care of that.
And then you give that one to Linda.
Here's my copy. It's useful. We'll just go to the recycle bin eventually.
Eric, may I substitute out the first page that you had made a note on, and the one that doesn't have a note?
Okay. He's got the third copy there, I believe, so.
Here's Jeff's copy I sent over there.
This is all I need.
Okay.
I pushed my copy there. I don't need a copy.
This is the one for Linda then.
Linda
And
can
if you
have a
don't want
copy.
that, I will just take that.
Okay.
Do away with that. Put it in my file.
We gotta have enough files to fill all our storage yet.
I've got a lot of stuff. Do you have anything else?
Yeah, Michelle brought in a purchase order for River Bluff Architects on the Law Enforcement Center re-roofing project. Balance is $2,447.80.
I thought that was already paid for. We already paid for the roof.
This is the last balance due. Don't they hold some of it back until everything is?
Well, on the construction, yes. On the engineering, no. I don't believe so.
This is the door replacement project.
It's probably the whole amount.
2,000 something.
$2,447.80. Well, let's see. Architectural services rendered for the repair of the LEC roof and replacement of the courthouse doors.
Original bill was 24,000, so we paid all of it, and then the 2,000, this is the final payment?
It says 100% of 24,778 architectural contract completed. And then there's asterisks previously billed and paid, excluding reimbursables at $22,320.
So that'd be the balance of what we owe.
Do we need any more information, or are we willing to accept the bill?
I don't need more information. I'll accept the bill.
We'll accept it.
I move to approve the purchase order for $2,447 to River Bluff Architects LLC.
I will second it if that is the final bill, if that's where,
It says final payment right here.
okay, I'll
It
second
is.
the motion then.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Passed 3-0. We all sign.
You have to do that,
I've got several things here.
crane.
Is that the last you have?
Did you want to have an executive session to discuss an attorney-client matter?
I think we will.
Do you want to do that now or later? Is okay?
Well, why don't we just do it in order, and I'll go ahead and finish new business and old business. So sure.
Linda got the card she needs to read, or you got the card, or
Card.
still on executive session? Do we?
Oh, yeah, she should have that. Do you have any other new business?
No, I do not.
Okay, I have several things here. Got a authorization to sign off on the fiscal year 2019 Community Corrections Grant Funds revised budget summary and budget narrative. It's just the approval of the 2019 revised budget, and it's already been approved by the director and the chairperson, Tom Weiser. So, do I have any questions, or do I hear a motion to allow me to sign off on this?
I so move, Mr. Chairman.
I'll second it.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Pass 3-0.
That also passed the board, but Tom's the chairman of the board now.
Okay, then we have a PO from the Road and Bridge Department for one new extension cylinder replacement on the crane. This would be to the vendor's name is Truck Utilities, and the purchase of a new cylinder is $13,237.81.
One point of discussion, and I should have asked this morning. That includes installation.
I believe so, because he said that the original estimate of all the repairs, he said it will actually cut down against the original estimate, because they figured so many hours for the rebuild. So it's going to be offsetting some, since they're not going to rebuild it.
And I would move to approve.
I'll second it.
It's been moved and second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Pass 3-0. Buildings. Here. I had one other. We had a discussion last week, and we decided to table it for more detail on the fiscal year 2017 year-end transfers per 2017 audit, which was just audit adjustments that didn't get done, but at the time, but during the audit process were discovered, and it's just moving transfers from the department to their capital outlay
Of the same department.
of the same department.
I moved to do the transfers.
I second it.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed.
I think
Pass
that's what
3-0.
noxious weight and solid waste.
And joint communications. Just
Oh,
my
yes, you-
my
okay.
signature is the only one needed. Okay. That's it for new business. Any old business? County councilor update.
I don't have anything else.
Kind of overlap there, don't they? Now it's time for executive session.
You see, attorney client. Did that was attorney client.
And Commissioner Knoll moved that the Board of County Commissioners recess into executive session at 1
Half an hour.
At 1:36 p.m. for consultation with an attorney for the public body, which would be deemed privileged in the attorney-client relationship as allowed by K.S.A. 75-4319B2, and that the purpose of the closed session is to protect confidentiality of the discussion, and that the Board of Commissioner came out of executive session at 2:06 p.m. in the Commission Room, first floor courthouse. Those present will be 3 commissioners and Pat Henderson, County Councilor. Do I hear a second?
I second it, Mr. Chairman.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Pass 3-0.
Because he read it, can we take that as the first motion?
Yeah.
Okay.
I said my name even.
Okay.
I motioned.
Okay,
Are we going to start?
Ready?
No, I don't know if you want to. My understanding is that they adopted this specific statute to allow counties, boards of county commissioners to participate in Medicare and Medicaid funding. So, and then since then the legislature changed the statute so that you're not responsible for caring for indigent people in your county, that burden is now on the state. And it was with that shift that many counties decided to discontinue running their homes.
Okay, we've got the bills. Have you looked through the bills yet?
I haven't gotten all the way through them, but I can do it after the meeting.
Yeah, I will too then. I was just wondering if anybody else needed to do that. Does anybody else have any business? Is there a motion to adjourn?
I move to adjourn 2:09.
I'll second that.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? We are adjourned.
You need my signature on that, Pat?
Well, we haven't signed any of those.